I want to bring in now Hugh Hewitt, the host of radio's Hugh Hewitt Show. Hello, Mr. Hewitt. You doing okay?
Good evening, Mr. Lemon. How are you?
It's good to see you. I'm doing great. You know, the establishment is in an all-out frenzy plotting to take down Donald Trump. Is it too little, too late?
Well, Donald said he's the great unifier, and he has brought Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham together, so I guess he's right. I think what you are going to see now is that there's not going to be Speaker Ryan. It's going to be either Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, or Governor Kasich. And of those three, as I step back, I haven't endorsed anyone. I'm not in favor or against anyone. I think Ted Cruz is likely to be the nominee because all of the forces that are coming to bear right now on Donald Trump are institutional. And strange things have happened. When you have Lindsey Graham step out in favor of Ted Cruz and Yale wins an NC2A basketball game, it's just a matter of time till a meteor, the Klingon scent hit the earth. It's such a weird set of circumstances, but the institutional best interests of the Republican Party seem to point towards a Ted Cruz nomination. I think he's going to win in Utah next week, even though Donald Trump is probably going to win Arizona. Ted Cruz is making a quick trip to Arizona to go down to the border next week. That means that his people might think he has a chance to pull it out. A Rubio endorsement would help. That might come as early as tomorrow, according to Mark Caputo, who's reporting for Politico. So there's a lot of moving parts out there. Watch Scott Walker, one of the most influential Republicans, one of the early leaders in this scramble for the presidency. He withdrew with dignity, with his political capital intact, and the Wisconsin winner-take-all primary is going to be sort of the make or break it day for Ted Cruz. I think he's got a win up in Wisconsin.
I got a lot of things that I want to talk to you about, and you know how it is in television, as you do in radio, that we have limited time, so if you can get through them quickly. But I'm interested in what you're saying. You said that it's pointing towards a Ted Cruz nomination. Did you just say that?
Yeah, because I think I look ahead. I project on factors, and it's sort of like if you look at three stocks, don't tell me what they were valued yesterday, don't tell me what they were valued last year. Tell me what they're going to be worth in 10 weeks when we get to California. And I interviewed today Mike Schroeder, who's the past chairman of the California Republican Party. He wrote the rules in 1998 as to how California's Republican delegates will be allocated. And Mike kicked them in 2006 so no one would have any question of self-interest. And it works this way, Don. You win 3 delegates for every congressional district that you win. So the Maxine Waters district, with maybe 3,000 Republicans in it, gets 3 delegates. Dana Rohrabacher's congressional district, with 250,000 people, gets 3 delegates. Yeah. And so you've got 54 elections out here, 172 delegates total. And if people want to read that interview, send them over to HughHewitt.com. I'll pretend to be a presidential candidate and mention my website. But that interview is fascinating, a shameless plug for information. Yeah. I don't see anyone except the stock that is rising right now is Ted Cruz's. I think Donald Trump has peaked and will stay the same. Okay. But right now, I see Cruz rising.
Okay, I got you. John Kasich has been reluctant to criticize Trump. I have the glasses on because I want to read this. But he responded to that riot, those riot remarks. He tweeted this, okay? Donald Trump said there could be riots if he's denied the GOP nom in a contested convention. That's more unacceptable language, John. Then he says, this implicit acceptance of violence is a kind of rhetoric that's pulling people apart, John. A true leader urges peaceful debate over violence. Leadership requires responsibility. I have faith the American people want civilized debate over violence. It's what's kept our nation the strongest in the world. Do you think we're going to see a war of words now between Donald Trump and John Kasich, Hugh?
John Kasich is a very experienced politician. I'd add, Don, in Ohio, I'm in Ohio and he's in Ohio, and we have memories of violence in Kent State. I have a very vivid memory of that day. My cousin was on the campus. The idea that violence would attend political demonstration is anathema to Buckeyes. And John Kasich is going to naturally react against anything that talks about violence. At the same time, I think he wants to keep lines of communication open, and I think it's unfortunate Donald walked away from the next debate. I think we need more debates, and I think everyone's got to remember that we don't talk about violence in political speech in the United States. And so I salute the governor for saying that. I'm sure Donald Trump will tone that back. He doesn't want violence. I'm sure that's very obvious. But the key thing is, Kasich went to Utah, which is kind of interesting since Mike Lee, the senior senator, has backed Cruz very heavily, and Cruz is probably going to win the state. Kasich may be trying to keep him under 50%, but if you do the math, I mean, get way in the weeds, there's a question whether or not Rule 40 will even be broken because Cruz people, and Rule 40 is how many states you got to win to get nominated, Cruz people and Trump people may work together to keep Cruz from being nominated And then all those unbound delegates after ballot one, what happens to them? Great piece by Zeke Miller in Time magazine today. It's a rodeo. It's a rodeo without rules, and we haven't seen it before.
I want to ask you about this group of faith leaders and fiscal conservatives that have met today to try to come up with a strategy to deny Trump the nomination. There's talk of unmasking Trump in ads, a strategy to target delegates and even turn them. Even the possibility of a third-party unity ticket. Does any of that sound like it's going to be effective, or is it even realistic, Hugh? I mean, he just won Florida despite $15 million in ads against him.
Oh, it's not realistic, although it is realistic for people to signal where conservatives are. Mike Ferris, who was in that meeting, is one of the most respected conservative educators out there. Eric Erickson is my colleague on the radio waves, very well-respected Tea Party originator. So these are people with influence, and they're all signaling vote for Ted Cruz. I'm not doing that on my show. It's still Belgium before the wars, right? And I don't know who's going to invade it, but they're all welcome there. And what happened there is a signaling that's going on, and I think tomorrow, if Marco Rubio comes out for Ted Cruz and other people follow Lindsey Graham's lead, you're going to find the natural center-right alliance coming behind Ted Cruz because he's more electable in their eyes than Donald Trump.
Hugh Hewitt, always a pleasure. See you soon.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You as well.